Werewolves have been a popular subject in movies for decades. They have been some of the most well-known monsters, yet there are not a whole lot of movies about them. From Lon Chaney Jr.'s portrayal of Lawrence Talbot in the 1941 classic The Wolfman, to more recent films like the Twilight Saga and Underworld franchise, werewolves have seized the imaginations of moviegoers with their fearsome strength, agility, and near-invulnerability. In this video, we'll be exploring some of the most iconic werewolves in movie history, as well as some of the common themes and motifs that have emerged in the portrayal of these legendary creatures. We know that some werewolves stand out among the pack as particularly strong, even by werewolf standards. So let us explore some of the strongest werewolves in movies. The werewolves in the movie Cursed of 2005. Cursed is a film directed by Wes Craven and written by Kevin Williamson. The movie tells the story of siblings Ellie and Jimmy who get attacked by a werewolf while driving home one night in Los Angeles. After the attack, they both begin to exhibit strange behavior and physical changes, leading them to suspect that they may have been cursed with lycanthropy. As the siblings try to uncover the truth behind the curse, they discover that their condition may be linked to an ancient werewolf legend, as well as a group of Hollywood insiders who may have made a pact with the supernatural creature. Despite its troubled production, which included multiple reshoots and a delayed release, Cursed remains an entertaining and enjoyable werewolf movie. Ginger from Ginger Snaps. Ginger Snaps is a 2000 Canadian horror film directed by John Fawcett, which tells the story of two teenage sisters, Ginger and Bridget, who are obsessed with death and share a morbid fascination with the macabre. When Ginger is attacked by a werewolf, her transformation becomes a metaphor for puberty, and she struggles to cope with her changing body and newfound desires. As Ginger begins to change, she becomes increasingly aggressive and sexually charged, with her transformation serving as a metaphor for the dangers and uncertainties of adolescence. She struggles with her new desires and the fear of losing her humanity as she grows increasingly distant from her sister and her former self. Uncle Ted from Bad Moon of 1996. This movie tells the story of Ted Harrison, a photographer who travels to Nepal to film wildlife. While there, he is attacked by a werewolf and returns to the United States seeking refuge with his sister and her son. However, it soon becomes clear that Ted is not the same man he was before the attack. As the movie progresses, he struggles to control his urges and maintain his humanity, with his transformation into a werewolf becoming increasingly difficult to control. On the downside, Uncle Ted worries too much about small fries like Thor when he could be out doing bigger, more important things. The underrated movie Bad Moon features a terrifying werewolf thanks to an astounding practical suit. Up next, we have Wolfman from the Monster Squad of 1987. Monster Squad, the Wolfman is only a worthy opponent when he's transformed. Otherwise, he is an intractable human man. The character's transformation scenes are some of the most impressive in the movie though, with practical effects and makeup creating a frightening and realistic portrayal of the werewolf. But the Wolfman is a stubborn foe to contend with. Meaning, unless he's properly defeated, the Wolfman can physically reconstitute himself. Even blowing him up proved to be unproductive. But in the meantime, a swift kick to his nards can temporarily neutralize the Wolfman. One of the most memorable scenes in the movie involves the Wolfman's confrontation with a group of police officers. Despite being outnumbered and outgunned, the character manages to evade and outsmart the police, demonstrating his cunning and resourcefulness as well as his physical prowess. The Colony in the Howling of 1981. This movie follows Karen White, a news reporter investigating a series of murders, who is sent to a remote resort called The Colony. It is revealed that the colony is inhabited by a community of werewolves who view their condition as a gift rather than a curse, and well, she's about to be faced with another perilous predicament, and there's little to no recourse available. The Colony in the Howling is a fascinating portrayal of a werewolf community with its own rules, traditions, and hierarchy. The members of the colony are shown to be intelligent and self-aware, with the ability to transform at will rather than only during the full moon. The community's acceptance and celebration of their lycanthropy adds a unique twist to the traditional werewolf mythos. The transformation scenes are some of the most impressive in horror cinema, using smart effects to create a gruesome and visceral depiction of the transformation from human to werewolf. The Colony is also notable for its representation of female werewolves. The movie portrays female werewolves as powerful and dominant figures within the community, challenging traditional gender roles and expectations. David in An American Werewolf in London of 1981. Written and directed by John Landis, the movie An American Werewolf in London follows two American backpackers, David Kessler and Jack Goodman, who are attacked by a werewolf while hiking in England. Jack is killed in the attack, while David survives but later transforms into a werewolf himself. From that point onward, David undergoes a dramatic metamorphosis. He has visions of his dead friend, who urges David to end his life so he doesn't hurt anyone else. Ignoring the suggestion, David succumbs to his new identity. He finally goes on a rampage in the streets and he kills many bystanders. To this day, John Landis's An American Werewolf in London remains the most heady, raw study of lycanthropy on film. The Shapeshifters of the Twilight Saga of 2008 to 2012. The movie follows the story of Bella Swan. I think we all know what Twilight Saga is, but anyway. Bella Swan, a teenage girl who falls in love with a vampire named Edward Cullen, and her relationships with the werewolves and other supernatural creatures in their world. In the Twilight universe, werewolves are known as shapeshifters and are part of the Quillwet tribe. They have the ability to transform into giant wolves, and their transformations are triggered by anger, aggression, or the presence of vampires. The shapeshifters are sworn enemies of the vampires, and they are tasked with protecting their tribe and their land from vampire attacks. The Quillwet tribe is portrayed as having a deep reverence for their heritage and culture, with the shapeshifters' powers and responsibilities seen as part of their ancestral legacy. The shapeshifters are robust and savage, but without the uncontrollable ferocity of other werewolves. The train gang from the movie Howl of 2015. A train guard and his passengers get stuck in the remote English countryside. As they wait for rescue, they begin to realize that they are not alone in the woods and that something is hunting them. They are picked off one by mysterious vicious creatures lurking outside. Even inside the train car, the group is not safe from this clan of bloodthirsty werewolves. The werewolves in Howl are portrayed as brutal and savage creatures. These wolves' human forms are never revealed. For all we know, they don't have ones at this point anymore. The Highlands Wolves in Dog Soldiers of 2002. The wolves in Dog Soldiers are portrayed as formidable and intelligent creatures, and the pack of werewolves that the soldiers encounter in the movie are known as the Highlands Wolves. The soldiers, led by Sergeant Harry Wells, find themselves trapped in an old farmhouse as they battle the werewolves, who are revealed to be highly intelligent and organized. As the soldiers try to survive the night, they uncover a dark secret about the werewolves and the local military base. Roaming the highlands is a pack of ruthless wolves. The men are saved by a zoologist who helps them get to a nearby house. Unfortunately for them, this house will be their final resting places as the werewolves have followed their scent. The dog soldiers' wolves rely on their faculty for violence more than anything else, but really, that's all it takes. The Highlands wolves are shown to be highly organized and coordinated with the attacks on the soldiers, displaying a tactical and strategic intelligence. Dog Soldiers is often cited as one of the best werewolf movies of all time. The Lycans in the Underworld saga of 2003 to 2016. The Lycans in Underworld are a race of werewolves that serve as the primary antagonists of the franchise. The series, which spans 5 movies from 2003 to 2016, depicts a centuries-long war between the Lycans and the vampires, with both sides battling for supremacy in a dark and dangerous world. They are also incredibly cunning as they have survived all this time without being detected by humans. In the Underworld universe, Lycans have the ability to transform at will between human and werewolf forms, with their lycanthropy being caused by a virus rather than a curse. So while the Lycans are unmatched in a hand-to-hand fight with any Homo sapiens, they still struggle in a brawl with a bloodsucker. That doesn't make them weak though. It just goes to show how formidable Lycans are considering how outstanding the Underworld vampires are. The werewolves from Harry Potter. One of the major characters in the Harry Potter series, Remus Lupin, is a werewolf, and Fenrir Greyback is another werewolf who is mentioned in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. In the Harry Potter universe, werewolves are portrayed as a separate species that are able to transform from human form to a wolf-like form during the full moon. Remus Lupin, a former Hogwarts professor who is infected with lycanthropy, is a sympathetic character who struggles with the effects of his condition and the stigma associated with being a werewolf. He is able to control his transformations with the use of a potion, although this requires extensive preparation and can be dangerous if not done correctly. Another werewolf in Harry Potter series is Fenrir Greyback, a notorious werewolf who is aligned with Lord Voldemort and is responsible for infecting many individuals with lycanthropy. Greyback is shown as sadistic and enjoys infecting children in particular, with the goal of biting them young and creating more werewolves to join his cause. Van Helsing 4. Directed by Stephen Sommers, the movie features the legendary monster Hunter Gabriel Van Helsing, who is tasked with defeating 3 of the most infamous monsters of all time: Dracula, the Frankenstein's monster, and the werewolf. The werewolf in Van Helsing is shown as a fearsome creature with incredible strength and agility. The werewolf named Velkan is a human who was cursed by Dracula to transform into a werewolf under the light of the full moon. Velkan's sister, Anna Valerius, is a warrior who teams up with Van Helsing to defeat Dracula and his minions, including the werewolf. In this movie, the werewolf's transformation is portrayed in a dramatic and intense sequence, with the creature growing in size and strength as it emerges from Velkan's human form. The werewolf is also portrayed as a formidable opponent capable of tearing through solid objects and overpowering its foes with ease. Van Helsing is known for its high-octane action sequences and thrilling special effects, with the werewolf's transformation and fight scenes being standout moments of the film. The werewolf serves as one of the main antagonists of the movie, adding to the overall sense of danger and suspense. Overall, Van Helsing's Werewolf is a memorable and iconic representation of the classic monster, with its unique design and fierce demeanor adding to the movie's dark and fantastical atmosphere. Well guys, Van Helsing ends the list for us. Hope we did this list justice. If you have any other werewolves you would like to add to the list, just drop them in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching, and please do not forget to support us by liking our videos and subscribing to the channel. See you soon.